Quitting social media has changed my life, and it will continue to do so as long as I'm away from it. We know that social media takes a toll on our mental health, but why do we still cling on? Perhaps it's our modern day sense of purpose, although it is just an elusive one. This was my Instagram, a perfectly curated theme alternating between nature and pictures of me. How many of you checked to see how many followers I had? You see, that is part of the problem. When we measure our success by something as insignificant as the number of followers we have an issue. We begin to allow the number represented in our feeds to define our self-worth, regardless of what we should believe. So, what have I noticed since deleting my social media accounts? For one, I feel more real, more human. It's like I've gotten out of the matrix and stepped foot into my real life. My life is more purposeful now. I replaced mindless scrolling on autopilot with conscious decision making. Regardless of what I'm doing, it's far more likely by choice rather than habit. And because of this, my time is spent so much more meaningfully. Although I have to admit, my brain is still not fully used to not scrolling. To give you some context, I've been without all social media aside from Instagram for around 3 years, but I still held on to Instagram until a few months ago. So now I am fully aware of my compulsive behavior and realize how unhealthy it is when I'm disappointed when I have nothing for my finger to land on. It kind of feels like a weird sense of dissatisfaction to not get that instant gratification, but it also feels nice to be physically aware of the addictive behavior I've developed, and with time, this will obviously change. So, because of this, I've been able to really experience boredom. I know it sounds crazy, but I'm actually really happy about this because it allowed me to feel more human, like I said earlier. I don't have to consume social media to entertain myself. I was so used to using that quick fix to address boredom, but in retrospect, there's a million better ways to spend my time. One of my favorite things I've noticed is that I feel far more like an individual. It's funny how we try to express our individuality through our feeds, but actually it seems that social media is very influential and produces a sort of bandwagon effect. And without it, I feel more authentic. I'm no longer being influenced, whether it's consciously or subconsciously, to be perceived a certain way online. Essentially, now I get to be myself, not a brand or a theme or a filter, and it's really nice. I basically took away the aesthetic and replaced it with purpose. Getting rid of social media was the easiest way to instantly make life more tranquil. It was freeing removing the sensory overload. It really can be an overwhelming amount of information in a small amount of time, which I found to be draining at times. And without so much digital noise, life itself can feel beautifully therapeutic. Ironically enough, disconnecting from social media has made me feel far less lonely. Social media reminds me of the feeling I get when I'm in a big city. I always feel a remarkable sense of loneliness when surrounded by people I will never know or see again as they pass by on the street. It's the feeling of being invisible while surrounded by so many. Although there are people everywhere, suddenly you feel so small. To me, social media is like that. You physically see people, but it's missing that connection, and the experience has left you with a sense of looming insignificance. I've also been feeling really nostalgic lately. Taking away social media is reminiscent of a time where photos and videos were precious resources. My phone is no longer collecting useless pictures of tablescapes or food, but memories that hold far more value. It reminds me when I would print out 1,000,000 pictures for my wall to reminisce on memories, not for an aesthetic. It feels good to be kind of transported back to that realm. When I had social media, I would feel a nagging anxiety if too many days passed without posting something of some sort. It's like I felt compelled to remind people that I exist, like I would lose relevance or something if I didn't post. It's crazy how social media can make you feel like posting something for strangers to scroll past for a brief second somehow validates your existence. In a way, I feel like I got my life back. Not that I was super into social media in the first place, but it certainly blurred the lines with intention at times. When you strip away the superficial stuff, you see the beauty in the mundane. As Celeste Headley once said, we want to customize the human experience. We want to be able to unfriend people as they're talking to us. We have created a reality where we think we can avoid inconvenience, but the truth is, the mess and the chaos, that's the good stuff. There's also a sense of magic left behind when you have an interaction that is untraceable. It's more thought-provoking, impactful, memorable, and meaningful. I was on an overnight train to Portland for my first time when they assigned seats at tables with other guests on the train during meals. At first, I was horrified to have to eat breakfast while looking up and being a foot across from complete strangers. Who knew one of my most memorable moments from that trip would be eating breakfast with strangers, exchanging bits of our lives to take with us forever. I think about that moment often, and I imagine if I were friends with those people on Facebook. It almost dulls the value and mystique. I think we imagine when we follow people on social media or friend someone on Facebook we just met, it's like we're capturing a snapshot in time, preserving that moment in a way, only to realize we've created a sort of artificial connection that will never really grow. The way we connect with people outside of social media is far more beautiful. I have to admit, your self-esteem goes up dramatically when you're not filling your brain with seemingly perfect-looking people all the time. Again, this isn't something I think I was consciously aware of, but I do notice how much more rewarding it is to see people in real life or even on YouTube. I appreciate how beautiful people are for what they actually look like. Humans are incredibly fascinating exactly as they are. I know not everybody feels like this about social media. This is just me sharing my experience. I do think there are good reasons to have social media. I think it's probably the most efficient way to promote a business these days. But when it comes to a personal account, I think that not using it as much should be considered more often. I don't know if it benefits people's lives all that much. I mean, maybe it can, but like I said, this is my personal experience, and I am a professional hermit. Let me know how you feel about social media in the comments below. I can imagine there's a lot of differing opinions out there, but honestly, it's been absolutely incredible, in my opinion. I think, if anything, this is just a really cool experiment that people should try, because it's always fun to push yourself out of your comfort zone. And it's kind of crazy to think that getting away from social media is out of your comfort zone. I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you very soon.